Hi folks, happy Independence Day. I'm Tom Vic. I'm going to look at the weather forecast here as well as other things. I got a jam-packed show here for you on this 4th. May not be too many of you watching, but you can tune into it later or in the morning because some of it will still be valid, especially a 7-day forecast maybe. Going to take you on a large camera tour. Just first of all, show you we have these. We have our sponsors, recognize them, SendLive Broadcasting here. And again, learn that basic lesson of exactly what weather is, a short-term variation from point to point of the elements of the weather, like temperature, like rainfall, like wind and cloudiness and that type of thing. So here's the view from Texas Street. We see a partly cloudy sky. A lot of this looks like high and mid-level cloudiness, kind of leftovers. Now going over to Rapides Hospital, Rapides Regional Medical Center, we're looking toward Pineville. And of course, you can see the Purple Heart Bridge there. We're seeing a mostly cloudy sky in that direction, looking there. There's been some convection over in Avoyelles Parish that was been picked up on the cams. Gina, 93 degrees. We see a partly cloudy sky there in that direction. And then going into another destination, hello to you folks in Natchitoches, the Sibley Lake, 97, mostly sunny skies. So again, you see a little difference in the temperatures. You're seeing a little difference in the sky condition. And we got pretty much mostly sun there for Toledo Bend at 94 degrees on the Highway 6 location. Leesville, you're 94 degrees, a partly cloudy sky there as well, but more clouds than the previous two places and a different temperature. And if going into Northeast Beauregard between Dry Creek and DeRidder, we see a partly to mostly cloudy sky, so you see more clouds there than the previous 2 points. And Stellies, we're seeing some buildups to the right side of the camera there, 87 degrees. Lower readings, there's been some convection in St. Landry Parish here for the day, which you can see some of that. Speaking of convection, let's look at the radar, and we don't see much coverage. See outflow boundary. Let me go ahead and put this in motion so you can see the outflow boundary. This one coming up from the south. Here's another one which is spreading out across Vernon into Grant Parish, and then a second one is kind of merging with that one across North Rapides in the Ball Tioga area, and again, then that's spreading northward. Here's the convection in the Avoyelles. Those were thunderstorms. You saw the lightning strikes there. That is weakening. We see a little bit more there, not far from, in fact, pretty close to Dry Creek there, with not much happening with it, moving slowly to the east, it looks like. And we saw some showers there, and maybe a thunderstorm occasionally there across south Catahoula Parish, which is dissipating. Now, some of these new areas may see some development across the south Grant or maybe North Rapides in the next 30 minutes or an hour, but it may not if the high pressure aloft is able to kind of squash it out. Otherwise, not much coverage here for today. The features to the north of us, first of all, you can still see that clockwise rotation evident with the high pressure still kind of in control of things. But this front is associated with an upper level trough, so you didn't see that rotation. So this part of the upper level high, the heat dome, has kind of been eroded away with that trough moving in from the northwest. We'll have a lot more to say about that later. Here's your rainfall pattern for tomorrow. Get this detail out of the way. I'm going to just broad stroke about an 80% for you tomorrow, mainly during the PM hours, maybe not exclusively though. And peak amounts could reach 2 to 4 inches. These will be efficient precipitation rainfall producers. So there'll be some high rainfall rates with this. So again, 2 to 4 inches, not out of the question for your Friday. So yes, we are back to rain. If you wanted rain, well, we've got some for you in the forecast. Here's how it plays out with our Futurecast model. 8 o'clock in the morning as folks go back to work. If you have the day, you have to work tomorrow, don't have the day off. No issues there for that morning commute. Once we get into the evening commute back home, we'll start to see, say, estimate a time frame about 5 o'clock. We could see some showers and thunderstorms start organizing and developing across our northern areas coming in from the north. This would come in from the north. This isn't associated with Beryl or anything like that, associated with the trough. And then that drops southward through the area. I put out an 8 o'clock, that's time frame. A lot of folks will be running errands, or you got your evening entertainment. You're going out to eat, your movie, and that type thing. So if you are going to be out during that time, you might say, hey, there could be a storm. I'll take an umbrella and I'll be careful as I travel and stay alert to any weather warnings that might need to be issued or weather statements or something like that. Saturday, this model not picking up on the whole day, but I look for the likelihood for rain Saturday as well. Hurricane formation over the next couple of days, nothing expected other than Beryl, of course, brought to you by Atlas, a new sponsor for us. And we will take a look at the satellite presentation. We see the eye, which was exposed just a little bit there, but it's being clouded over. There's some shear coming in from the west and from the northwest. So you can see as the storm heads into that, it's kind of bucking a headwind, if you will. And that's kind of tough. What it does is it kind of dislodges the core a bit and kind of strips away the convection, strips away the organization. So again, there's been a weakening trend with the hurricane. Maximum sustained winds are now down to about 110 miles per hour, pressure up to 974 millibars, moving to the west-northwest at 20 miles per hour. And following the National Hurricane Center's forecast there, as we take it across the Yucatan and then into a landfall position, maybe somewhere around Brownsville, Texas. Could be a little bit higher up the coast. There's a huge cone of uncertainty here because of the interplay of the trough, which I will explain a little bit later if I can. But this must be a 300 or 400 mile wide area here, just because the uncertainty is so high that by this time frame, 1 p.m. Tuesday, the low pressure, instead of being in the position it's in now, could be over here, or it could be on the opposite, way over in Mexico. So over that large range, that is that cone of uncertainty. 2 out of 3 times it will be in that. 1 out of 3 times it may be somewhere outside. It could be over this way or over farther over to the east. Now, if I had to go either direction, I'd go east with that. But again, this is kind of the uncertainty, and this is the uncertainty in our forecast with it as well. But right now, not thinking we're going to get a lot of influence from it. Of course, we'll get some moisture. This is the future cast. Here's the big high pressure out to the west. The reason we're having the troughs is because of that high and one in the Atlantic right there. And so between the two, we get troughing. And so you can see that northwesterly flow right there coming down. And you can see right here, it changes more to the southwest. And so in that vicinity, we have a trough. Those are much larger than the tropical cyclones, and so they tell them where to go. Here would be Beryl, down in this direction across the southwestern Gulf of Mexico. You see there's a lot of difference, but the trough is pretty weak down on its south side, nebulous, as I would say. So I don't think it's going to be able to pick it up, at least in that particular time frame. So again, now let's go forward a little bit with that. And here's the landfall position as we go into the time frame, say Monday early morning, Sunday night, say in and around the Brownsville area. And this is GFS model. This is one model's opinion. It has some truth to it. I'll try to point out some different things about it as I go through. But notice how the troughing is still to the north of we still kind of have this flow around toward the west. So the GFS model not really allowing the trough to pick this up and move it toward Louisiana. So if you don't want influence from Beryl, then that's the forecast that you want. All right, let's go a little bit further. GFS model just has it penetrate well into south central Texas there in the San Antonio area between there and Laredo. So that's why the cone of uncertainty is so high. Some models have it over here in east central Texas. Others have it over in Mexico. So again, there's that uncertainty. But as you know, the closer we are to it, depending on its size, intensity, and that type thing, it determines the kind of weather that we will have and how many impacts we will have from it. The troughing continues up to the north during that time frame. And then finally, the GFS kind of washes it out. And however, we still see some troughing evident right in this area. You can kind of see the wind blending right in through here. And so that is going to keep a wet pattern in the forecast. And in fact, this troughing across the central United States is going to have more influence on us than Beryl directly, unless Beryl does something really crazy that we don't foresee. Yeah, it may provide a little moisture, but we already have moisture here, so it may add a little bit of moisture. But these troughs are the things that literally, the dynamics squeeze the moisture out of the air and make rain and thunderstorms out of it as it lifts the atmosphere. So that's kind of the physics that's going on with that. Tropical interest area is brought to you by Atlas. We have this, of course, is AL96. Don't forget about that, because that could be a third moisture source for us here in central Louisiana. As you can see, it's progged a forecast to come on up into the Gulf of Mexico as an identifiable system, but the chances of any tropical development are less than 40%, so they're fairly low. I was only able to get one spaghetti model out of that, taking that into the southwest Gulf of Mexico. This has been a busy area so far this hurricane season, but as we move through the season, there is a possibility to get shifted to the northeast. So that is something that would be unpleasant for us and the folks in Florida and other portions of the United States, and of course Cuba and the Bahamas. But it may prove to be a reality. All right, let's go into the 7-day forecast, try to sort all this out. You can see there's a healthy rain chance every day. So we are beginning a wet pattern. Some of it due to the troughing influence from the northwest. And it's a series of trough. It's more than just one trough. It's a series, as you saw as on my explainer. And so that's going to keep with the moisture in place. And it's good deep moisture, good tropical moisture. And so we've got high rain chances. This is a wet period. This is a summer wet spell, I think, that's coming up over the next week. Rain chances at 50-50 each day or more. And then, of course, Friday, 2 to 4 inches possible in some locations, just that one day. The other days may have a similar efficiency for us to have to deal with. So, yeah, we're entering, if you need rain, this is the forecast for you. It'll tone down the heat. Notice we got 80s there starting on Tuesday. And the 90s, well, they're not upper 90s or 100s or anything like that. We got low to mid 90s on the warmest side of the thermometer there in the Friday through Monday time frame, which is typical for July. All right, folks, that is my take on this. Sorry this was so long, but there, again, a lot to go through, a lot of interest in Beryl and that type thing. Nick Mickels will see you tomorrow, and I'll probably be around as well.